Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got the tank review for the brand new Tier 8 Premium Soviet tank destroyer, the ISU-152k. Now this is basically just a premium ISU with the old BL-10 gun, which means that you've got this whopping great 286 penetration with the 329 on the APCR. I've been waiting for this tank for a wee while because I love the ISU. The ISU is a lot of fun. It slaps, but that's because I'm an alpha whore. I love the damage. I love the 750 alpha at tier 8. It just smacks, and I really enjoy that, and I really enjoy that sort of gameplay that you can get with it by just, slapping people up with it. Is it a good tank? Well, I think it's alright. I think it's a decent turretless tank destroyer. It slaps hard, it gets about, it's got a troll gun mantlet, but it's not really got much armour. It's got decent camo, so you can set it up and then snipe away with it, but the gun isn't that accurate, but it does slap, and I like the alpha. So I do kind of like the tank. Is it worth it? Well, to be honest, I don't think it is. I don't think it's worth it at all, because you can get the same tank, pretty much, but for credits in the tech tree. You just have to grind to it. And while it has less penetration, it's still, I feel, with the changes that they've made to this tank, I still feel the tech tree ISU is actually probably better. Even though you get less pen, I still think it's probably better than this tank is. But it's still, if you love ISUs, or ISU-152, you will like this tank. It's as simple as that. If you don't like turretless TDs, you don't like the ISU-152, you don't like the Soviet TDs, you won't like this tank, so it's not for you. Like I say, to be honest, I don't think it's worth the gold, because you can just get the tech tree version, and the tech tree version is pretty much the same. But if you wanted a silver maker that's basically the ISU-152, you could get it. So we are going to compare in the stats of this tank to the tech tree one to see what slight differences there is, because there are slight differences. So, in terms of the penetration, we do get that BL-10. We get the troll cannon, the one that's the top gun on the Object 704. It's what the ISU-152 used to have. And that gets 286 penetration on its AP rounds, which is just dirty. This penetration is utterly fantastic. You don't really need the premium rounds that much, to be honest, at tier 8. You don't even really need to carry them. I think I carry 2, and that's really only for type 5 heavies. The penetration is insane, and 90mm of pen on the HE is great as well. It means you'll be able to pen a lot of lightly armoured tanks. You'll be able to do a lot of the light tanks, although the shell velocity is slow, so it will struggle to hit some of the wheelies and stuff like that. If you do hit them, you're hitting them for 950 alpha. That hurts. That definitely hurts. And you've got 750 alpha as well, like I say, which is great. You've got 1200 hit points as well. So this top row, let's have a quick look to see what it's like on the ISU-152. Well, on the ISU-152, you've got 260 pen as opposed to 286. 292 pen as opposed to the 329. So you pretty much nearly got the same premium penetration as you do on the standard on the ISU-152. Obviously, that means you just don't give a damn about tier 10s whatsoever, and you really don't. You just poop all over them with your pen. If you can keep it at distance, then you can just wreck them, take out a lot of the HP with one shot, and you will not really struggle with the penetration. But to be honest, 260 and 292 on this tank, on the tech tree version, still deals with tier 10s fine. 260 pen is great. The 292 is great as when you need to truly make sure you pen the shots. It's not something you really notice as bad on the ISU-152. But it is a juicy penetration. So the top speed is 40 kilometers an hour, it has 350 meters view range, and 28% steel concealment. Now the 40 kilometers an hour is okay, but it does struggle up to it a little bit. It is a little bit sluggish. 350 meters view range is blind, but that's basically the ISU or the SU tank destroyers of the Soviet line. Basically the Russian tank destroyers are all like that. They're all really blind. And 28% camo is really good. What is that like compared to the standard tech tree version? Well, it's slightly worse, because it's got 31% camo on the tech tree version, which is actually 3% better than the premium. You've got 350 meters view range, like I say, which is pretty standard across the whole line for poor view ranges. And you've got 3 kilometers an hour extra top speed. And it actually hits that as well. So you actually are slightly quicker in this tank. And you're slightly better camo as well. So this is the slight differences between the premium version and the tech tree version is why I'm saying it's not really worth it to get the premium version, unless you really want that sort of silver maker premium version, or one that you can just stick any crew in you want to, you know. Although it is cheap to do it anyway. I think the little differences between this tank and that tank, this tank basically gets great pen, but then loses a lot of its other stats just to gain that BL10 gun. So, what else does it have? Well, let's go to the rate of fire. 3.16, which means it's a 19-second base reload, which is slow. But you have 750 alpha at tier 8, which truly slaps. I mean, for the most part, you're taking off the health of most tanks. You're taking 2 shots to kill them. Take a Tiger 2 for the most part. If you roll well enough, you're going to 2-shot it. And you really don't care about the armour, to be honest. With it, this gun, even though the Tiger 2's just been buffed on its armour, it doesn't care for it. And there's so many tanks that are exactly the same, even tier 10s, where the gun just says, I don't care about your armour, and slaps the shells right through. It's juicy. But 19-second reload is slow, very slow. On the ISU-152, that's actually a 17.6 reload, so it's got a 3.41 round a minute rate of fire. So the premium version actually fires slower than the tech tree one as well. So just bear that in mind, that you a second and a half nearly slower reload than the tech tree. You got a 3.5 second aim time as well, which is 1 second or 0.1 of a second slower than the tech tree version as well. You do notice how bad that aim time is, and with the troll accuracy as well, and the fact that it lives up to the name troll cannon, I'll give you that. It can be a little bit painful at times, especially firing at over distances when there's tanks flying around at speed and you're trying to have to keep traversing. Yeah, you've got to bear that in mind. It gets 25 rounds, which is it's actually more than the ISU-152, the tech tree one, so you do get more rounds, but if you fire all those rounds in a game, well played to you. You've had a good game because of that long-ass reload. 0.43 accuracy is quite bad, and even in 6.0 world, like I say, it still feels like troll cannon. It still loves to miss, even with making that 10% better. We'll see what we get it down to in the garage in a bit. On the ISU-152 tech tree, it's 0.41. So this is actually more accurate than this. This is what I mean by the slight differences between the premium version and the tech tree version, that this tank loses a lot just to gain that pen, and it makes it a little bit more painful to play than the actual tech tree one. Because, yeah, you 0.2 more inaccurate than you are than the tech tree one. And you also have 5 degrees of gun depression compared to the ISU-152 6. And you, again, if you're on any sort of elevation, you do notice that 1 extra degree of gun depression loss. Yeah, like I say, the tech tree one is the one that you want to get for credits and just grind your way to it. But if you can't bother with the grinding the tech tree ISUs, then you could just buy this and you still get the same flavour, just slightly worse, essentially. 600 horsepower, which gives you a 12.72 horsepower per tonne. It makes it sluggish getting up to that 40 km/h top speed. Like I say, it is very sluggish. And yeah, this has a 14.23 horsepower per tonne for 700 horsepower. This tank, the premium version, the ISU-152k, has worse power to weight than the tech tree. Again, don't doubt that extra horsepower, that extra 100 horsepower makes this tank far more manoeuvrable than the premium one does. Like I say, it's all about the tech tree one being more worth getting than the premium one. And 12 kilometers an hour reverse speed, which is the same as the tech tree ISU. It's very slow going backwards. If you're on a ridge line and you pull forwards, fire and then get spotted and have to pull back, just be wary. It takes you a while to pull back. So you've got a 22 degree a second traverse speed on your tracks as well, on the ISU-152k. And on the tech tree one, in fact, you actually have a slower traverse speed. So you've got 21 degrees a second instead of 22. So that's one thing that's different. And the terrain resistances as well. You actually have better terrain resistances on this ISU-152k than you do on the tech tree one. Again, the extra horsepower. For some reason, this tank doesn't feel anywhere near as sluggish as this tank does. Yeah, I'd say the premium. I've really enjoyed playing it because I love the ISU-152, and a premium version of the ISU-152 with just that BL10 troll cannon is lovely, and I do love that gun because it slaps and it doesn't care about what it's shooting at. But for you guys, I will say just grind the tech tree and get the ISU-152 because it's, you know, it's basically the same but slightly better, just loses penetration. That's pretty much it. But that's my buyers beware. So let's go to the garage and show you what commander setup and equipment setup I run on this tank with the magic of OBS. Bleep. There we are. And there's the ISU-152k in the garage. It to be honest, as a tank model, it looks great. I love the look of the ISUs. And you can see the little differences with the side skirts and the extra stuff on the model that this tank has. You can see the BL-10 as well, definitely looks different. And it's just it's a juicy cannon. So, what do we run in terms of equipment? We run rammer, optics, and camo net. Back in the day, I would have ran binoculars just to be able to get up above 445, well, just to get above 450 view range, essentially. Get ridiculously good view range, because they are blind, although with the crew skills and that, we've got up to 448 meters view range, which is fine. You're still going to struggle when you're coming up against tanks with higher view range than that, and yeah. I just recommend running optics so you're not absolutely, completely and utterly blind and you get spotted by everything. Camo net, because the camo is great and you want to make that as good as possible because you're going to be playing support. You can play it as a brawler when you are top tier and you've got a very good matchup and you can go around, try and bait shots onto the gun mantlet because the gun mantlet is pretty impenetrable, but the rest of the tank is penable. And you can do that, coming around corners, but for the most part, you're going to be playing support, and you'll be shooting from a decent distance. So you want to stay unspotted as long as possible. Camo net helps you there. Reload is awful, so you want to be able to have the rammer to make your DPM even better. Yeah, sure. If you decided, you know what, I play this tank quite aggressively, and, you know, I don't want to sit back, you can either run vents to make everything about the tank better, or you can run the GLD to get a better aim time. And we'll see what the aim time changes to in a second when we've had a look past the commander. So in terms of the commander that I run on this ISU-152k, I actually run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Steady Aim, Trap Mechanic, Situational Awareness, Camouflage Expertise, Muffled Shot, and Clutch Braking. Now I run this because it's turretless TD, so we've got the two camo perks to be able to make the tank better with its camo. So, you know, 10% increase to your camo, and then making your tank 35% better when you're firing on your camo, which is great. And it helps, especially with having this big cannon. And then clutch braking, because it is a slow traverse speed. And having that clutch braking really helps when you're getting circled, essentially, or when you really need to get your gun round onto target as quick as possible. Having that clutch braking is very, very nice. And obviously all the rest of the perks are what I take on every single tank possible known to man, because they're just vital, vital perks. You always want to make yourself 10% more accurate. Always. So, yeah. Let's have a quick look what we've got on the module viewer. Let's have a quick look at the shell velocity as well. The shell velocity, as you see, 880 meters a second on the AP and 1,100 meters a second on the APCR. Now the velocity on the APC, you notice a massive difference between the premium round and the standard AP round. It is derpy 880 meters a second. If you're firing at range and you're firing at a fast moving target, maybe you want to switch to the APCR just to have the better velocity, because the velocity on the APCR isn't too bad. But yeah, that's what it is. It's fairly slow. Aim time is actually 3.22 with the crew setup as it is. If I was to just say, you know what, forget camo, I don't care about camo, let's put a GLD on. We go to the module viewer, it should now tell us what we've got, 2.84 aim time. So if the aim time is absolutely killing you, you could now put the GLD on and get down to nearly 2.8 seconds aim time, which is fine, especially for a big gun like this. But yeah, I've really liked it. I've really enjoyed the tank. It is a nice tank. But obviously, like I say, just get the tech tree version, because the tech tree version is just generally better. The only thing you lose is pen. And apart from that, this tank is better, and you can get it for free by just grinding the tech tree. So, as always, everybody, I'm going to send you over to the gameplay, which will show you how it handles. And that, if it's not really too revolutionary, because it is just basically the ISU-152. But yeah, I'll let you see how it handles, see how it plays in there, and I'll see you over at the replays. So here we are in the first of 3 replays in the ISU-152k, and we're on Pilsen. It's a tier 9 game, although, I mean, to be fair, it's not really that tier 9, there's only 2 tier 9s. And I decide, you know what, I'm not going to go brawl. I could try it, because I've got the alpha to slap, and I have done it in 1 or 2 games that I played in this tank before this where I went to the 1-2 and I went down the 1 line and used the piles of rubble, swung my gun around the piles of rubble because I can do that with the right hand side mounted gun, and then bait shots onto the gun mantlet while also slapping them up for big alpha like that 762 shot into the Type 59-2 because it slaps. Because yeah, this tank doesn't really have armor, okay, it really doesn't have armor, but the gun mantlet does. It's the only spot on the tank that has tremendous armor, and if you can bounce or bait shots into that gun mantlet, you can use it to, you know, just sort of not take damage and be able to keep slapping out your alpha. That's why if you are charging at someone, or if you're moving towards cover but sort of under someone's gun, just keep wiggling, keep moving side to side as much as possible while facing them, so that hopefully it makes it a little bit harder for them to shoot your weaker armor generally, and they might hit the gun mantlet and then just bounce, because yeah, that is what it is. So you saw there, the shell velocity on this tank is very slow. We unfortunately missed the shot on the EBR Hotchkiss. We pulled the trigger a little bit too late, but fortunately enough, he sits still and we slap that big shell into him. You're seeing the reload is quite long. We'll see what it is fully pimped out in a second when it gets down to it. So 3, 2, 1, and it's 10.3 second reload. Not quite, because actually thinking about it, food was at the end of that. You've seen it's over 12 seconds. We've got a big shot into that M48 round panzer as well. When this tank hits people, they know about it. And you see without the food boost, yeah, 14.2. I must have done something in there to make it glitch out. Probably food, who knows. But yeah, 14. It is a long reload. Long reload. But if you can keep the engagement at distance, or you can sort of keep it in a situation like you're going to see in a second, you'll have a great success with it. Because you do take most of the hit points of most tanks you see, except for obviously tier 10s. And if you can catch them out and get that big shell in without taking any hits, it's great. So, I'm going to come out with this T28 prot out on this corner. There's a lot of tanks around here, so this is risky. He ends up taking a hit from the T30, so I kind of know it's safe to go around. We do take a hit from the Paladin, but we do slap out that big round for 700. And that is a good trade right there. He hit us for only like 190 something, nearly 200. We took off half of his hit points. It's great. But now the T30 is not looking at us, so I'm like, you know what, I'm going to risk it. I'm going to pull round, slap a big shot in, 786. But unfortunately, the T30 gets a big shell into us. Takes off most of our hit points, which is sad, because that means we're not going to have the ability to just pull around the corner. We do luckily bounce the Paladin there on our gun mantlet. We get the gun aimed in a little bit on the icebreaker, but unfortunately the Type 59-2 with the time in there just manages to block our shot on the back of his turret. There's nothing that Type 59-2 was going to do about that. Just unfortunate timing. But hopefully we're going to be able to get the final shot on the icebreaker, and in you go. Now, obviously, with the long aim time, it doesn't really matter as much when you are really close, because when you're really close, you're going to be able to hit them most of the time, as you were seeing there. We weren't fully aiming the shots, but we did manage to get 4.2k damage, high caliber, the first class, 1600 base XP. Yeah, when you're really close range with this gun, obviously having that 3.5 second aim time is poor. It is very, very poor. But when you're close up, it doesn't matter as much, because they're going to be more of the tank in your aim circle in the first place. So we're on the second game. The second game is very tier 10, and we're on Himmelsdorf. So what I'm actually going to do is not go to the hill and not be able to traverse. There's the poor traverse for you there, not being able to get round in time. We're going to go to D3. Now that's my plan, D3. Now why would I do that? Because I can shoot up at the hill. That's my plan, all the time. Plan. I don't fancy going to the hill when so many of my team weren't doing it, because it's just going to end up in a bad time, because we're not going to be able to crest the hill. We're going to end up getting done in, and we didn't want that. Whereas if we go to D3, we're guaranteed to get shots at anyone that stays on the hill. We can get good shots at people coming off the hill. I just like that position for a turretless TD. That's the main issue here, is because we are a turretless TD. And situations like the top of the hill on Himmelsdorf are awkward for this tank, because everyone else has a turret and everyone else is going to be traversing really awkwardly for you. So we get a big shell into the 13105 there, which is really nice. And we're just waiting for the reload before I poke round the corner, because there is a heavy tank on the hill there. It's the AE Phase 1. And I'm still spotted when I've poked round the corner. I thought I was going to get unspotted a little bit quicker, but fortunately enough, because I get unspotted there, he ends up not shooting at me. And he is well outside of my detection range, which is really nice. That means he's not going to be able to see me even after I fired, which is great. There's a Waffle E-100 up there that we've got to be careful of, because obviously if we get spotted, that Waffle is just going to delete us. And we don't want that. I am looking for shots at him, though, because obviously it's the Waffle E-100, we want to get rid of it. But unfortunately, Troll Cannon had other things to say with that shell. It is what it is. It's a very derpy gun, and unfortunately, it missed that Waffle E-100. Yeah, what can I say? We make sure that this gun is fully aimed to go for that cupola on the AE Phase 1, but unfortunately, it ricochets off the side of his turret. But as he fired, he started turning his turret to the side. The timing is impeccable. Oh, just look at this, and it's that long reload of regret, right? When you fired at someone and they actually give you a better shot, and it's like, oh, come on. But we get a big shell into him for 808, which is great. That rhymed. We're up to 2.2k damage, and I'm just waiting to see if I can get another shot into this AE Phase 1. We end up getting spotted. We've slapped the shot because I'm mindful of the Waffle that's probably up there still, that he could possibly get shot at, but I'm not getting shot at, so I'm like, I'm okay. Okay, no, I'm not okay. That's not good. He gets another shot into us. We crash into a wall. It's like, please get me round the corner. Okay, we're safe. Woo! Bad moment. It's like, okay, I could have died there. Fortunately enough, the Waffle gets spotted up because we can just get the view range to see him. We slap a big shell into his turret. Would have been nice to have Chi, but we'll take all the damage we can get. He starts getting shot from behind. I'm just hoping he stays in a position I can get the shot in, but we can't quite do it. So I'm going to pull up behind this 140 on the D line to try and see if we can get a shot in behind him and help this heavy tank that's gone in. I can't really keep going. I've just got to wait for this 140 to see if he gives me a shot. Fortunately enough, he gives me a very, very slim shot, but we get it straight over it. Troll Cannon. It'll miss the easiest fully aimed shot in the universe, but hit that pixel shot because Troll Cannon. Yeah, ISU-152 at its finest. Missed the big barn of a Waffle at quite a distance, to be fair. Hit the slim pixel shot of a cupola on the back of the Object 140's turret. That's just big cannons for you, generally. So there's one tank left on Himmelsdorf. It's the WZ-111QL. He's been surrounded. I'm quite surprised he's still alive right now, to be perfectly honest. There's so many people around him. He's still alive. It's like, how are you still alive, sir? Gonna try and get there, but there's no hope for me getting there. And we finished the game in a tier 10 match with a nice amount of damage on Himmelsdorf. We finished with the epic victory, come top on the team. 2 kills, 3.8k damage, the first class, and 1707 base XP. Another nice game for the ISU-152k. And the third game. The third game is a tier 9 game. Again, there's only 3 or 4 tier 9s. And we're on Sand River. Like I say, this gun, 286 pen, does not care for the tier. It doesn't care for anything. It hits like a truck, and it tends to pen whenever it does it. It's wonderful. I do love the gun. Like I say, the thing is, and it was probably in my mind the whole time. I do love the ISU, so I'm just happy to have it no matter what. But the whole time playing it, I'm kind of like, because I have been playing the ISU-152 recently as well. I'm like, if I was in an ISU-152, I'd be firing that a little bit quicker. I'd be getting to the positions a little bit quicker. I'd be aiming in a little bit quicker. You know, the ISU-152, the tech tree version, just does everything just that little bit better, except for the penetration on the gun. It's pretty much it. So it is like the buyers beware of, oh, what are you doing, sir? Oh, no, Troll Cannon, come on. Oh, I thought that was going to be a guaranteed hit, and it just swung to the far right and missed. Make sure your shots are fully aimed, folks, because Troll Cannon does that. But yeah, the whole time I found myself thinking, if I was just in the tech tree version, you know, I'd probably be doing just as well, if not slightly better at times. Oh, that's a big shot. That's half of that guy's hit points. This is why I love this gun so much. But yeah, that's why I say buyers beware, right? Because if you're not really that bothered about having a silver maker, but you want to play a big 750 alpha gun at tier 8, just grind the tech tree version and get the tech tree version for free. You know, you just got to spend a bit of blood, sweat and tears to grind to that level. And then you'll have the same flavour of a tank, and it hits like a truck, and it's great. And the grind, to be honest, on the ISU line is great anyway. The ISU-85's fine. The SU-100 slaps, is great. The ISU-152 with its derp gun is fantastic. You can use the high pen heat, or you can just derp people, or you can have an extreme DPM monster in the 122mm that tank has. And then you get the ISU-152, which is a wonderful tank again. And then you get the 704, which is fine. And then the 268, which is a beast. The line's fantastic, right? You can do what you want. So, we're aiming up a shot on this Tiger 2. We slam a big shot through his stock turret. You could tell his turret was stock because of the way the cheeks looked. They weren't flat. And we finished that guy off. Not that we really would have cared even for his upgraded turret, because the pen. We're looking for a shot at this Tiger 1. Unfortunately, we can't quite see it because he gets behind cover. And then the wheelie boy... See, camo, I mean, he has no view range, and our camo there, his turret poked up above the ridgeline there, he didn't see us, quite funny. The Yahtzee gets spotted, we slap a big shell into him for 673, I think it was, or something like that. Unfortunately, that's a massive low roll, we could have finished him off, but it is what it is. We've still got hit points, so even though I'm spotted, I'm kind of like, you know, I'm alright with staying here. Just aiming, get the big shot into the side of the Tiger 1 to slap him up there, which is really nice. We're up to 3.3k damage, which is a great game so far for a tier 8 tank destroyer, and we've not had to fire the gun that many times to be able to do that damage. It slaps. I can't emphasize enough how much I love how hard this gun hits. It's great. Get the tech tree version, because the tech tree version is just as nice. It is a turretless tank destroyer, so if you don't like turretless tank destroyers, you're probably going to struggle with it. But if you do not mind a turretless tank destroyer and you love Alpha, this tank, the tech tree version, one's for you, really. And that's it. If you like ISUs, you're going to love this tank. Now, here is where the gun depression difference is going to do us in a little bit. If we had the ISU 152s with 6 degrees, we'd be able to get better shots on this little ridge, but with 5 degrees, we can't quite see it. You'll see it in a moment as well, where it's kind of like we can just see over the ridge, and then the gun sort of shoots up. If we had that extra degree of gun depression, we'd be able to shoot them a little bit easier without having to expose ourselves just as much. But we did get a big, juicy shell into that UDES there, which is great. Now there's this other heavy tank coming along. It's the Hammer. We slap a big shell into him. That's where if we had the extra degree of gun depression, we'd have been okay, because we'd have been able to do that without having to go all the way over to get the shot into him. We probably wouldn't have got spotted. But we're up to 440 damage. Can't quite get there to get a shot into the Scorpion G. And now there's the VK4502B over there. We're aiming, slap the big shell in. Oh, that Alpha is just so juicy, honestly. It's great. And we're up to 5.2k damage with 332 assistance. And 5k damage is great for a tier 8. And I'm just thinking, should I try and go over to get a shot at this E75? I'm just hesitating a little bit because there was something in the cap. And I'm like, I don't want to risk that popping up on my left and then getting a shot into me, same as the E75, sorry, because that would be the end of my day. Now the E75 is gone, we've got the heavy tank in front of us, and it's like, okay, we're going to go down, see if we can get a shot in. But unfortunately, this rock's in the way, and then gun elevation's the thing with the 11 degrees. And it's like, right, okay, we've just got to keep pulling back so we can get higher up and have possible shot. I try and pop a blind shot at him because he's actually out of render range. But unfortunately, we don't hit it. We get into this position here, pop the food to get a better aim time in, and, well, better reload as well. Just praying, like, please stay there. But unfortunately, we can't quite get the shot in, and he's dropped below the dunes, which, for me, starts me thinking, right, I'm not going to be able to get there because my team's already there. And I'm not going to be able to get a shot at this man unless he pokes up and gives me a free shot, which would be very kind of him if he does. That would be wonderful. But unfortunately, spoilers, he's not going to. And there's one other tank left on the team, and it's a Barask. So this guy's going to get finished off, and there's another Barask. But we spend about another 3.5 minutes, I think it is, chasing the Barask and trying to get into position to shoot him. And unfortunately, we don't get to shoot the Barask. So I'm going to spare you 3 minutes of driving and cut it here to the end screen. So we finished the game with the victory. 2 kills, 5.2k damage, 428 assistance, high caliber, first class, 1838 base XP. And if more people have the tank, that might be an ace. Who knows? So, yeah, the ISU-152k, it's a lovely high alpha turretless tank destroyer. but you can get pretty much the same dealie from the tech tree for free with credits. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success!